What do you really know about someone anyway? Think about it. We all walk around living our daily lives without even giving someone else's life a second thought. Do you truly know what's going on in your neighbor's life? Do you even care? It's okay if you answered no. We all do. It's our human nature to be selfish. But I challenge you, after watching this video, think about what you heard, and then about those around you who could be living this life. I dare you to care.
I think my most treasured possession is the love that I have for my mom and my sisters. You know, my mom and my sisters have been with me, from the beginning, of course, but they've been through, a lot of trials and tribulations with me, and they never give up on me. They always have encouraging words, and, I love them very dearly.
My sons, God, and not in that order, God first. Well, I'm just product of my environment. My dad left when I was 4 years old, and I was sitting on the floor in my house, and I watched him leave. And I looked at my mother, and she looked down at me. And I went back to playing with my stuffed animal, and that was the last time I seen him. My father's out and about. He lived in Mattapan. He passed away in 2001. He lived in Mattapan my whole life, I guess. I never seen him again.
We didn't want to go through with this. Even on the way to this place, we're like, are you sure this is what you want to do? Like, we're just scared. And after that day, I want to say my moral compass just completely deteriorated. Man, if I can give into something like this so easily, like, what else am I capable of doing? Because I'm like, one of these days, someone's gonna resist. Someone's not gonna give us what we're asking for. No matter how I ask for it, no matter how hard I threaten them, I'm like, somebody's gonna take a stand and probably shoot me. That very moment, yeah, our whole lives changed. We got locked up, and I was like, man, I don't know if I'm ever gonna be out again. I remember that night, I closed my eyes when I went to sleep, and I was praying. I was like, Lord, please let this be a dream. I hope when I wake up, I'm not in this cell. But I woke up and I was still in the cell. Yeah.
A horror show. Because I don't care what story you've been told, I don't care what show you've watched, nothing can prepare you for that.
My first day in prison was somewhat confusing. It's a new place, people yelling, screaming, cussing, throwing things. You was given an ID, given a bedroll, fingerprinted, asked a bunch of personal information, next to kin in case something happens to you, which is always, concerning. Like, you can die in prison.
The one person that helped me was a psychologist who, well, what happened was the first couple of years I was getting in trouble all the time. I was getting into fights, and then I was going to the hole, and then coming back out, they give me a new cellie, I get into a fight and go back to the hole. And I did this, half a dozen times, and finally she came up to solitary, and she said to me, so is this the way you're going to do the rest of your time? And I said, I didn't have anything to say, and she goes, maybe you want to consider that this is not a good way to get started here. You know what I mean? You're young into your sentence. You got a long time ahead of you. This is probably not going to work. Would you be interested in talking to me? And I said, probably. And she said, well, when you get out of solitary, you come to my office. And I went to her office, and we had a conversation that lasted 5 years. And we talked every week, twice a week. And then finally, at her recommendation, I was put into a process group where I was helping other guys open up about themselves because of what I learned through being with her, you know what I mean? And so I became a facilitator. And then I knew this is my purpose. I found it.
Everyone that goes to prison isn't a lost cause, that there is redemption beyond those walls. A lot of the people that are in prison, they want a better life, they just don't know how to go about getting to it. And that's where you need the community and a support system like Mcoi to come in to point you in the right direction when you might not know the direction yourself.
I think one of the worst things in the world is unrealized potential. So what we're looking for is people that want to find out how much potential I have and they want to make it a reality.
Mcoi does the same thing. As long as we're connecting with people who are at risk, with people who, don't have men in their life and need guidance, mentoring, just need a safe place to be able to ask a question. Just one question. Bro, how do you do this? That's it. How do you do this? How do you come home from jail and not go back? I want to know how to do that.
We worked on our strengths, our weaknesses. We identified what they were, and we expressed that to each other in the room. And so week after week we were doing that. And finally, when I got out, he contacted me when I got out, and I went to see him down in JP. And I've been in contact ever since. It's been a great relationship.
That's part of why, Mcoi appealed to me, because it was men building. And you could just go help somebody else after you told, what your story was, who you are, what affected you to the point where now you're willing to step up.
God is in the people business. He wants all of us sort of to come to a relationship with Him, and the way to do that, He uses people.
I'm looking forward to the future me. I'm looking forward to seeing my growth and just really seeing how God is going to use what He's put in me to, bring something to this world.
I wouldn't change going to prison for anything, because I believe that defined and made my life what it is today.
There's really only two things you need to remember. One, the first thing is to love your God with all your mind, soul, heart, and strength. And two, to love your neighbor as yourself. Now, all the rest of it, it's commentary.